I would like to take this moment to say that I'm not a financial advisor. Anything I say should not be mistaken for financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. This is no longer, in my opinion, a downturn, or what we call collapse. I think there's a fine line between a downturn and a loss of faith. Mark Cuban calls it a lull, but his comparison to the internet would be incorrect. The internet boom has something to do with the traffic of its usage. Crypto is going through an acceptance crisis. In its beginning, it was so easy to want to own cryptocurrency because it wasn't subjected to the same regulations as stocks, bonds, and commodities. Its ability to keep a sense of secrecy was the lure that intrigued many people to it. But it's no longer the case. It is actually easier to track transactions as previously thought. Government crackdown all over the world had in no doubt discouraged many former users. You haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify? Let me give you a rundown. Basically, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Here's how it works. Anchor lets you record and edit podcasts right from the phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to the most popular listening platforms, including Spotify, with a single tap. Anchor is also the only place you can publish video podcasts to Spotify. With Anchor, creators can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Many tax havens will, in the future, no longer be tax havens. And it already has begun. The Portuguese Minister of Finance, Fernando Medina, stated that cryptocurrency will be subjected to taxation in the near future. In his own words, he said, "Many countries already have systems. Many countries are building their models in relation to this subject, and we will build our own." With the collapse of crypto prices in recent days, more and more people are now critics of the technology rather than proponents of it. The majority of Bitcoin investors are now on the red, and there seems to be no ending in nearby. We crypto investors have a word for this, FUD, which stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Investors like to use this as an indication to not worry, but this mentality can actually result in major losses in your pocket. If you had bought one Bitcoin at 60,000, you would have been down 30,000. Unless you are a multi-millionaire, you wouldn't feel the pinch, but if you are a regular person, you would most definitely feel the pain. This is not to discourage people from investing at all, but rather to remind them not to invest the money they can't afford to lose. If you can't buy bread to eat, don't use it to invest in crypto or other investments. There's a fine line between risk and flat-out craziness. In other words, don't use your rent money or the money for the baby formula just to put in crypto. There's a chance that Bitcoin and crypto market will recover, but there's a chance it could get worse. Perhaps it could show a slight rebound, giving false hopes that it could recover quickly, but then collapses into new lows. These are possibilities, so it's very important to consider the possibilities of total collapse. With a lack of good catalysts to up the price, it is very likely it could go into lower lows. Again, there's a chance it could go higher, but it's all about the good catalysts. Recently, there's been nothing but negative catalysts. But it doesn't mean you can't have some profits in times of uncertainty. Many do stake their cryptos and some even pay their rent doing this. But it all depends on the timing in which you buy it. Everything is about timing, and if you buy at the wrong time, it doesn't matter what kind of investments you have. You will lose every time. Let's do an example. For instance, if you had bought ICP or Internet Computer on May 25th, 2021, you would have spent $50,000 per unit. Now ICP is under $10,000 per unit. You would have been negative $40,000 per unit if you had bought last year. If would then seem to be a bargain now. The thing the investor needs to decide is whether it has hit bottom for the week, then month, then 2 months. That take it 1 week at a time. It doesn't have to be hard. I am currently doing the waiting game, waiting for the right time to buy particular coins and tokens. I have selected a few to keep in my portfolio. I had sold some of my positions a couple of weeks ago, but kept some of my positions on worthy projects with survival potential. One of the important things we have to remember is that crypto is an uncertain market. Many coins and tokens have come and go, and the potential of some of the projects you invest in could go bust is somewhat great, and thus would deem your investment useless. It's a hype machine. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin seem to have good staying power, and they are some of the oldest cryptos out there. Remember though, past success doesn't necessarily mean future success. These are just examples. Whether it's the right time to buy, it is up to the individual investor. Markets go on cycles, and when everything clears, it would eventually recover. The question is, when will it recover? That is the question one can never truly answer. If I were psychic, yes, I would be able to, but nobody really knows. It's an illusion for someone to know exactly when. You can base it on cycles, but not every cycle is exactly the same, because investor behavior may not be the same. Thank you for listening to Crypto Intuition. If you haven't heard my previous podcast, please visit anchor.fm/Crypto Intuition. This podcast is ad supported, and by listening to the quick ad, you support my program. Thank you. Till next time.